Hi, my name is Crystal, and if you're new here, welcome. Here on my channel, I primarily talk about reading indie romance books that I find in Kindle Unlimited and or TikTok or Bookstagram. So I'm going to talk about two series that helped me out of reading slumps in 2024 that I think you should read and pick up. Now, I will preface this by saying these are queer romance books. They are Male Loving Male series, and the first one up is the Unnecessary Evils series by Onley James. This one features 7 brothers who are adopted, but they all share similar traits. They are psychopaths, but they are psychopaths turned vigilantes. Now, they are adopted by a billionaire who is also, I think he's a doctor of some kind. I can't remember I'm always forgetting if it's a psychologist or a psychiatrist. It's kind of an experiment that he's basically doing of like kind of nature versus nurture. People or kids that he adopts become either orphaned or like given up by their parents, and they all share similar traits in childhood, which is psychopathy. I think that's how you say it. Each brother finds a partner. First book starts with the youngest adopted son, which is Adam, and Noah. Now, their meet is a little bit unfortunate because Noah, he tries to like puke him, but it's like out of revenge because he knows that Adam, his dad. Now, the brothers, and they're all called the Mulvaney brothers. The Mulvaney brothers, they are psychopaths turned vigilante at the behest of their father, where they look for the worst of the worst in society. And like that's kind of the whole point of the experiment, is why not take people who have these traits and make them do things for good, so to speak. Get rid of people who may not necessarily find actual like justice or actual punishment under the justice system. So these could be like people who are like serial killers or serial rapists or child abusers, child predators, people who do like traffic people and stuff like that, so to speak. But they all have to like do their research. So it's not like they just pick people out of a whim. So obviously you know that since Adam, Noah's dad, you have to know that it was for a reason. And it turns out that was Adam's first kill as a teenager, and he was a little sloppy because he didn't realize that there was a witness, which is Noah. He kind of helps Noah realize like, hey, your dad wasn't a good person. This is why. And then you kind of like figure out that like Noah's dad is not. There's some question with that parentage there. So book 1 is Adam and Noah. Adam is the youngest Mulvaney brother. Then book 2 is Psycho, which is August, who is the second oldest Mulvaney brother. He is a professor at a university. He is the one that probably inhibits or exhibits, should I say, the most psychopathic tendencies. He enjoys doing what they do. Adam's kind of like, it is what it is, I gotta do it. Doesn't hate it, doesn't love it, is what it is to him. August, he actually relishes in doing it, so he is a little bit more scary than all of them. August is intrigued by his co-worker Lucas, who is also another professor, or new professor that came around. But Lucas used to be an FBI agent, and he was let go because he actually has psychic powers. I know some people in real life don't think that's true, but there are people who are a little bit more in tune with feelings and intuition and all that jazz. It just so happens for Lucas, if he's able to like, I think, touch objects or people, he can kind of get a feeling and or see certain things. So there was a coworker of his who he like accidentally touched and realized that this coworker is responsible for like women disappearing. He makes the accusation, didn't wait to like get like more evidence. The other coworker, he's, as kind of like most serial killers, suave and able to be like, actually he's insane, I don't know why he's accusing me. And Lucas ends up losing his job. Then he's like very hesitant about falling with August, because their first meeting, like August is like, I just want to be with you, and Lucas is like, how did you get in my home? Book 3 is my favorite, my absolute favorite of this entire series. It's Moonstruck, which is Atticus, who is the eldest Mulvaney adopted brother, and he falls for a mechanic, Jericho. Their meeting is they're trying to like get rid of the same person, but Jericho beats Atticus to the punch because Jericho has kind of like a neighborhood watch full of like also vigilante teenagers. Now these teenagers are not psychopaths, they're not sociopaths, nothing of the sort. It's just basically because they are from a neighborhood that, you know, crime is pretty prevalent, but the cops don't do anything. They have to take matters into their own hands. So that's kind of the thing. Atticus is the eldest brother he is super kind of neurotic and uptight. He doesn't like doing any of the killing, but it's for practicality reasons. He doesn't like cleanup. He doesn't like being bothered with that stuff. He's a doctor, so he'd rather be in his lab and like doing mad scientist things. And they fall into like kind of like a little bit of a, I wouldn't say friends with benefits, but it's like a benefits type situation. But Jericho then realizes that he wants to be with Atticus, and he's like, yeah, I'm willing to do that for you. Like, I have no problem. People like, and Jericho himself is not a psychopath, but he's kind of what you call like maybe like a dark empath. Like, they know these things are bad. They have feelings. They feel things. They just know sometimes you just gotta people when the law's not doing anything. So they're perfect. It's a kind of like an age gap, because Jericho is actually the younger one, but he actually ends up being the more dominant one in the relationship. Atticus, because he's so uptight, because he has so much things that are on his plate, he gives up control to Jericho. And I just love that. I love when the super grumpy one, uptight one is just like, yeah, I just want you to take care of me. So even better when he's older. So there's that. 4 and 5 respectively are for the twin Mulvaney brothers. It's Asa and Avi. So book 4 is Headcase, which is Asa's book. He falls for a journalist who's actually trying to infiltrate the Mulvaney to like write about them. He's like, something's quite not right with them, because yeah, they're billionaires and they do all these things and they're good, but like it's kind of like something about them is off, which, you know, he's like listening to his intuition. But Asa knows who he kind of is and is like, actually, I'm gonna take you home. And it's a whole like rendezvous thing there. Zane, who's his partner, wants to like kind of write about like, every single person that falls in love with the Mulvaney ends up finding some type of ground in what is like the family business, right? So Asa's a journalist, so he's able to like start helping out with like their alibis and like writing stories about like some of the people that may turn up dead and be like, actually, this is not a true victim. He's a horrible person. It's like uncovering all this stuff. So it kind of like shifts the public opinion, just in case no one's really questioning the Mulvaneys. No one has no idea that these people are bad vigilantes, but just in case, it starts like helping them realize that there's a vigilante killer, but like one single. It helps like kind of deviate the fact that there's 7 of them. They're just making it 1. So that was fun. That one is more of a, the twins are into like sadomasochism, but like it's in different ways, because Asa is the sadist, and like Zane, obviously he really likes their play. Now in book 5, which is Madman, that's Avi. He's a masochist. He likes pain. He delights in it, while Asa delights in giving pain, right? So they're considered what's mirror twin. They look exactly the same, identical. It's just some features are mirrored on the other one. So like, for example, I think one of them has like a birthmark on their left side. The other twin would have the same birthmark, but it's on their right. Kind of cool. Asa's actually head of an architectural business, so he's an architect. Avi is the owner of a fashion brand, and then Jericho's younger brother Felix is his intern. Now their first meeting, Avi he latches on. Felix is kind of like playing like hard to get, like, I want nothing to do with you, but it's more because Felix is very prickly. Both Jericho and Felix lose their sister, so he's still kind of reeling from that. So Felix is the bossy one of the pair. He kind of likes to inflict some of the pain that Avi likes during sexy time. So it's a very good pairing. I would say this one is probably either my 2nd or 3rd favorite of the series. Book 6 is Brother Archer, who technically is the family drunk, but there's actually a reason for it. It's kind of like he's undercover even in his own family, because he does things for the dad, Thomas Mulvaney, that the other brothers have no clue about, but he portrays himself as a drunk. Half the time he doesn't even have a lick of alcohol. He's just really good at acting. So he goes to these poker tournaments. I think he's like really good at it, but it's like kind of like a smoke screen for the things that he does for his dad, like when he's like traveling around the country to do some of the jobs that are like outside of where they live and stuff like that. He's the one that does it. He falls for Mac, who is very well versed in psychopaths, because his brother is actually a diagnosed sociopath. His mother is also a doctor, and she works closely together with Thomas Mulvaney. Even though these are their children, at the end of the day, they're still treating them kind of like social experiments. It's just this phase is now like, can they actually have partners? Can they actually have successful relationships? Can't necessarily say can they fall in love, because some of them, they don't feel like the true definition of what we would think is love, but to them is love. You know what I'm saying? So Archer and Mac, they kind of have like a little bit of like a benefits, friends with benefits situation. Not really friends. Archer is like just very, he's kind of tightly wound as well. And then Mac is like kind of the more cinnamon roll of it. He wants to be with Archer, but Archer's kind of fighting it, but then Archer eventually gives up because he's like, actually, I do love you. So that's that one. And then the last book, this one might be a little bit like, for everyone, but it's Aiden. Now, Aiden is different from the other Mulvaney brothers because he was adopted as a teenager. He was about 16, 17, I believe. The others were adopted as children and in orphanage. Aiden was given up by his mother, I believe, because he had actually, I can't remember if it's his stepfather or his actual father. I think he beat him to death or close to death. But it was in defense of something, but he felt no remorse for it. Mom was like, he needs to get out of here. Or was it his dad? No, it was his dad. It was his dad. Because his dad actually comes back, and for some odd reason. Anyways, Aiden was adopted as a teenager, becomes a legal adult. He realizes that he has feelings for Daddy Thomas Mulvaney. Right? And poor Thomas is like, no. But then as he gets older, he's like, actually, yes. And then like a moment of weakness, they kind of do hook up, but like I don't think it goes all the way. They do hook up, but then Thomas feels immediately bad about it. Aiden is like heartbroken. They kind of have like this whole like song and dance that they kind of do all the time, but then Aiden finally enough. And like throughout the other books, you kind of get a little bit of a hint to it. And the ones who bring it up is actually, they call them the feelings faction, which is their partners because they're normal human beings that have feelings, and they are the ones that realize that Aiden actually is in love with Thomas and there's something going on there. But Aiden eventually sends through the courts to dissolve the adoption, so he's no longer considered adopted, even though he still shares, I believe, the Mulvaney name. He doesn't change his name, he's not legally considered adopted by the Mulvaney. Anyways, he still does like some jobs for them, but he just lives in Portland. It was somewhere where there's like forest and stuff like that, because he likes building torture devices and stuff like that. But anyways, he still does some business. Someone is after Thomas, and he doesn't know what to do, where to go. He goes to Aiden, and Aiden's basically like, all right, cool, we're gonna do this my way though. Like you've been in charge all the time. But it's actually a really sad, tragic backstory for Thomas, honestly, I'm not gonna lie. And it explains why he became fascinated with psychopaths. Forced proximity makes it so that they hook up quite often. So, and the other brothers, at first they were like kind of like scandalized. They're like, oh my god, no, our dad would never. And then now they're like, actually, we don't care. Thomas is the one that's like caring about the optics of how it would look for him to be with his ex-adopted son. And when they bring it up to them, they're like, okay, about time. We knew this, 3 books ago. So that's the thing that's funny. And then there's like, for like the actual like people, like society, they're billionaires. Like, billionaires do things weird all the time. It doesn't matter. So it wasn't like a big deal in terms of like the other siblings, but I guess that would make sense for psychopaths. They kind of don't care if it doesn't affect them per se, or affect the ones that they love. They were like, actually, we prefer it. The only one that does give them shit a lot is Adam, but he's just a little stir. He likes to like instigate things. But it's actually really funny. They're all under like 275 pages, I think. Maybe like I know for sure they're under 300 pages. I will say that for sure. They're not on Kindle Unlimited though. They each are $6.99 if you were to buy them on Amazon. However, the author has them on their website, and they're cheaper. They're like 50% off if you buy directly from their website. There's also a little novella tied to this series. It's featuring Dimitri and Arlo. Dimitri is the son of Callie, or Callie. She is the hacker for the Mulvaney family. They don't know what she looks like until the end. But she has a son. That's why her and Thomas start working together, because her son is a psychopath. She knows this, but she's trying to keep him out of jail, trying to like learn how to raise a psychopath. It's really cute. It's like under 150 pages. He's been in love or like obsessed with a neighborhood kid that he tried to like defend the kid by trying to set the parents on fire because they were abusing this kid. And Callie had to like move away to like help him avoid going to like juvie or whatever. But years later, they reconnect. He finds him and is just like biding his time. Arlo is in a relationship with an abusive man. They're like in college. It's the span of like a night or two. They hook up. Arlo this whole time knows who Dimitri is. He's just trying to be like, I don't want to lose him again. Like, he's scared because he realized that Dimitri did what he did to his parents in defense of him, and his mom moved him away. So he's like, I don't want to get him in trouble or say anything about like the abuse, because he doesn't want him to get in trouble again and leave, which it's really sad. Now his mother is better equipped to help him and something does happen where the mom has to help him, but then also the Mulvaneys get involved. This one, the events in Damaged, this one happens between book 4 and 5, because there's a scene in Asa's book where they meet Dimitri and Arlo, and like the scenes, like you can kind of see them from the different POVs of the couples in each book. So in Headcase, you see the how it happens from Asa and Zane's POV, and then in Damaged, you see that exact scene in Arlo and Dimitri's POV. Kind of cool. So you can kind of read it in between, or you can read it afterwards. I did it. I read it after I completed the entire series, so it wasn't big of a deal. The next series I'm gonna talk about, oh my god, I think one of the books in this series is my top read of 2024, which I will do a video about that, because I currently have 14 books, but 2024 is not over yet. We got one more week, so anything can happen in a week. This is the Vitale series by Brea Alepou, probably like butchering that last name, and Skyler Snow to co-write between two authors that are friends. Book 1 is Take Me Apart, which is Enzo. He's the younger brother. He is also autistic, and he is kind of their cleaner, so to speak, enforcer. Not really enforcer, because he's the one that like they go to if they want to get like dispose of someone, and like dispose, like they don't come back. You can't find any evidence. That's who he is. And Tex is a undercover cop who's trying to infiltrate to bring down the Vitales, so hopefully, get a promotion. That doesn't happen. Him and Enzo hook up. Enzo knows exactly who he is whole time. Tex has no idea, but he does. Anyways, they hook up. Then Enzo tries to like have it be one and done, but then he becomes fixated on Tex. Tex is the one that fights it. He tries to fight it. He can't fight it. It's so good. I know the audio. There is audio for these. I think it's one narrator who does both voices. He just does different accent for both, so that's how you can differentiate it. So these are on audio. I will say this entire series is on audio, at least that I know of right now. This is basically enemies to lovers, like truly because a cop and a mob man, one night stand, and forced proximity, and someone's obsessive and stuff like that. Book 2 is the middle brother, Giancarlo, who is also the unhinged brother. He is insane. And that's what it says in the back too. He knows he has a few screws loose in that noggin of his. Anyways, he saves Ash, who is about to be sold in a sex trafficking ring. Turns out, whole time, Ash, he's a virgin. And Giancarlo's is like, he usually doesn't like virgins. He likes people who are experienced, but something about Ash is just intriguing to him. Giancarlo ends up being a bossy bottom, and Ash being the twink top, which I think it was the first time I've ever experienced that type of dynamic in a male-loving male pairing, and I was kind of obsessed with it. He calls him like kid because there is an age gap. I think it's like 13 years, because Giancarlo's is like 35 or something like that, and I think Ash is like 22 or something along the sort. He's just younger. I know he's younger. So there's that one. Now this is gonna be my number one probably read of 2024. Say I Do follows Benito, who is the eldest brother and the mob boss of the Vitale family, and he has to get married for an alliance to a Yakuza heiress. However, at last minute, she is replaced by her twin brother because she, turns out, is pregnant by another man. Her dad's not gonna go through with it. Not because he loves his daughter, but because he's like, oh my god, like, she's having a... So, this is an arranged marriage with Harlow. Whole time, Benito's like, I'm not gay, so this is not gonna be a real relationship. This is just for appearances, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, how are you fighting that if from this book, you and Enzo both end up being hoodwinked by the same guy that you guys are both hooking up with? Tell me again. Anyways, and that's something that Giancarlo starts like bothering him about. Like, he just keeps yelling like gay every time, and he was like, I'm gonna beat you, shut up. But this one's truly enemies to lovers. Harlow and Benito, like, they kind of are like fighting their feelings hardcore for most of it. They're fighting each other sometimes, but they also are very possessive and jealous of anyone who tries to like touch the other one. They're like, no, that's my partner. So I love that. Harlow is also very in touch. He's what's considered a femboy, so he can wear suits, but as easily as he can wear suits, he can wear a pretty dress. At one point he does wear an actual wedding dress, and I'm obsessed with that. Okay, I love that. It's so cute. And their whole relationship was very cute because, again, they're just trying to fight their feelings. They're like, no, they've been burned a couple of times themselves, but they just can't help but fall in love with each other. And I love that. I love that very, very, very much. Someone from Harlow's past is trying to like take him back, and Benito's like, no. He even says it. He's like, that demon is mine. So this is my number one. Okay, if there's ever a book you take from me, fourth book, because the first three books you just think, oh, there's only 3 Vitale Brothers. There's a fourth one that comes out of nowhere. Okay, this is Gianpaolo, and spoiler alert, sorry in advance, he is Giancarlo's twin brother. Whole time you think it's just 3, and you find out there's another brother. Hold up, he's a twin of one of the others. How did that happen? How come Giancarlo never talks about him? Anyway, Giancarlo thinks he's dead. There's an accident. They fake his death so that way he can go deep undercover into the FBI. He is their inside man in the FBI for the Vitale series. The only people who know he's actually truly alive is the father, horrible human being, and Benito. Obviously Benito needs to know because he is now in charge, and they do have like kind of clandestine meetings with each other, but it's basically Paul, that's his name now in the FBI, is kind of like letting him know when things are about to like get hot. At the end of this one, because Harlow does step in it, he kind of starts this kind of turf war, but Benito's like, it's fine. You started it, but I'm gonna make sure it gets finished. Very like he loves his spouse. Okay, he knows his spouse messed up, but he's like, you did it in the name of love in our family, so I can't be mad at you. Anyways, Paul, he becomes infatuated with his new boss. His new boss is York Washington, who is also very, very much like the whole, every time someone gets promoted in the like police field or FBI, they're gonna like clean up crime. Like, that's the kind of guy he is, but he is like going after everyone. He ends up being threatened. He's a single dad of 2 twin daughters, ironic. They're threatening him and his children. He's kind of like, okay, well, I think I still need to do this. But they attempt to kill him, and Paul is there, and he's gonna have to drop the act. Paul's going home, but he's also taking York and his daughters with him. So York, obviously, the entire time is like, oh my god, you're my enemy now. I know you are my employee, but you're actually the enemy. I cannot be with you. I am an FBI agent. How would it look if I'm with a mafia man? Paul's like, I don't care about none of that. You are mine, and your daughters are also mine. Like, y'all are my family. I need to take care of my family. But I'm also gonna bring y'all with my other family. We're gonna be one kumbaya happy family. I think this is like the perfect series to read, especially if you're into mafia, you're also into queer books. It's also like multicultural because like with Harlow and Benito, Italian and Japanese, and then Never Say Never, York is African American, and then I believe they're surprised. You think so? Not only are you surprised when you find out you think there's 3 brothers, then you find out there's a 4th one. There's gonna be a 5th one at the end of Never Say Never. A long lost Vitale comes around. Now it ends in not necessarily a cliffhanger because it ends in an HEA for that couple, but it's a cliffhanger into be like, whose kid is this? They're trying to say, so Harlow thought it was Benito because Benito's like 30, I think he's like 39 or 40 or something like that. So Harlow thinks it's Benito's kid, but I don't think the age is gonna work well. I think it's just a long lost brother. That the dad had a mistress, because you know how Italian mafias, you know how they are. So I think the dad had a mistress. And the authors have hinted at the book coming out soon. They did just finish editing or first edits, and then it has to be like, kind of a few more edits and stuff like that. So honestly, it probably will more than likely come out the first quarter of 2025. Overall, this entire series, and the Necessary Evil series, top tier. If you like murderous boys who fall in love with other boys. These are for you. Thank you if you watched this whole thing. Thank you so much for watching. You have a nice day and happy holidays.